What's up, YouTube? Coming back at you once again. Wanted to talk about a few things that's on my mind. If you could do me a favor, guys, you can hit that like and subscribe button. Comment if you've experienced this and you have any stories you would like to share. Anyway, what I'm talking about is just being in alignment, right? Some people might call it manifestation. Some people might call it the secret, anything like that. Now, I am a Bible believer, and I believe in alignment because you have to align with what your goals are in life. And I believe that God wants us to be happy, right? He doesn't want us to be miserable. He doesn't want us to lack. And one of the things I always said is, if you freely would give the Son, then everything else is minuscule, right? So keep that in mind when you're asking for things. You have to believe that you already have them, right? And that's really what faith is: believing that you have things already once you've asked for them. And the Bible teaches us that God will give us the desires of our heart, and you must claim the victory, right? And so, what do I mean by why am I bringing this up? Yeah, I've grown up with so many people over the years, and even myself at one point, that would blame everyone else except myself for my current circumstances, right? What I mean by that, something bad happens and you're like, well, why is things always happening to me? Why all these bad things always happen to me? Why I don't have? If it wasn't, one of the phrases is a crazy phrase I always hear. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all, right? And people worry about things they can't change, right? And I think that all too often, the Bible definitely addresses these things for us, right? And this is not a sermon, but I definitely wanted to talk about some of my beliefs as being a Bible believer, and why I believe that the things that you want from your life, if you focus on them, so as a man thinketh, so shall he be. These things will come to fruition, but you have to start with changing your mindset. I think the original thing that you have to start doing is being grateful for the things you already have, right? Being thankful for what God has already blessed you with, right? If you have, certain things going well for you in your life, right? And your response to that is, well, I want more. This, what I have is not good enough. That breeds jealousy. And, that's why I said in another video, comparison is the thief of all joy. And that's the same thing with jealousy, right? If you're so jealous about what someone else has, or you're complaining about what you don't have, you can never see the joy in the things that you already possess, right? A lot of us woke up this morning, well, some of us didn't, right? A lot of us are able to eat tonight, well, some of us aren't, right? Some of us have jobs, and, when there's a time in your life where you remember you didn't have a job and you prayed and you begged for the job that you have, and now that you have it, you're frustrated with it. Oh, they don't pay me enough. I do so much. But you have to be a caretaker of the things that you already have in life in order to be blessed with more, right? You have to be a good caretaker. If you have a car that you might, you have, and you might want something different, like, oh, I want to be driving a super car. Well, you need to take care of the car you have like it is a supercar, all right? If you want to be blessed with more, take care of the things that you already have, right? You say people, oh, I want, this great relationship, but you're not a good person when it comes to relationships, right? You haven't worked on yourself, you don't treat people well, so you're not taking care of the relationships you already have. And you're wanting God to bless you with this magical person when you would be a hindrance to that magical person, right? Because you haven't worked on the things that you need to work on in order to be a great partner in a relationship. You haven't worked on yourself. Someone said to me years ago, I would move around a lot because I was chasing experiences, and sometimes I think I might have been running away from some of my problems. And this person said to me, no matter where you go, there you are, right? Which means that you can't run away from yourself. And a lot of times when we're trying to get a fresh start or, turn over a new leaf, we seek new environments, and, we end up falling back into old habits despite the newness of the environment, because you still bring your old self with you, right? And I say all this because if you don't change your habits, you're going to continue to have the same things you have no matter where you go. No matter what job you get, no matter what car you have, no matter what money you come into, those old habits, if they haven't changed, will continue to bring you what you've already been having in, previous to those blessings, right? So what you need to work on first is changing, yourself, right? And that begins with changing your mindset and believing that you can have the things that you want in life, and that you are in total control of what you have, right? And so that brings me to, one of my points is, if you're poor and you don't have things, right? Take accountability for who put you in that situation. You put yourself in that situation. And what that means, people get so offended when they hear that, like, if you're poor or you don't have something, that's because of you. And they're like, oh, well, I don't have something because of the job I have. That boss of mine and that company of mine don't want to pay no money. Or, I have a terrible relationship with my let's say if you have a baby mama or a baby father or wife or husband. Oh, I have a terrible relationship because XYZ. Not taking accountability. You picked that person, right? You decided to continue to be with that person. You decided to approach that person, or you allowed that person to approach you, and you allowed everything to happen to yourself, right? And this is not a bashing on you, but this is saying everything that happens to you, if you take accountability for where you are in life, then that means you can get yourself out of it. If I got myself into this situation, then I can get myself out of it, right? But you first have to be accountable to you putting yourself in that situation. If I don't have the money that I have, that I want to have, then I have to start analyzing myself and say, what am I doing? What am I doing to create this lack in my life? Okay, so let's say it's the job. Excuse me. Let's say it's a job that you have, right? It's not paying you the money that you want to pay, that you want to have, right? Okay. Why aren't you looking for a different job? Why aren't you getting different skill sets to improve the resources that you have available to yourself? Because that's what, basically, when you have a career or you're getting paid based on the value that you provide to that company. And if you're not getting paid, what you want, then that means you're not providing the value in order to get that money. Or you don't value yourself enough to get a different job that is going to value you for the skill sets that you want. You have to make changes. And the definition of insanity is continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result. If you don't do anything different to improve your life, then how can you expect your life to improve? There's no magic formula to manifestation, because it says faith without works is dead, right? So if I am leaning on God to bless me with a better position and a better position financially, mentally, physically, then I have to put in the work, right? So if you take one step towards him, he'll take two steps towards you. So if I want a different job, I say, okay, I don't have the skills for the job I want. Lord, I need to go to school. All right. So you go to school, and God will make a way for you to be able to go to school, right? But you have to go in faith. You say, well, God, I want these things, but I'm just going to sit here and wait for God to show up and knock on your door and give them to you. But you haven't done the work. You haven't put in the work. You haven't put out. You haven't walking. We don't walk by sight, walk by faith, right? But we're still walking, if that makes sense. Let me say that we walk not by sight, but by faith, right? We walk by faith and not sight, meaning that we're still walking. We're not sitting somewhere waiting for God to come rescue us. We're moving in a direction And because we know God got our back, right? And that is the manifestation that I believe in. That is the law of abundance that I believe in. I believe that if I start moving in the direction that that I want to be in, God will take me the rest of the way. Right? So, like I said, I'm not preaching, not doing none of that. But I want to talk to you guys about this, because all too often I hear so many people talk about, oh, why do these things happening to me? And, I can't keep my mind off of this. I worry all the time. There's a serenity prayer for a reason, because you can't change everything. Right? And you need to know the wisdom. You need to have the wisdom to know what you can change, what you can't change, and have the peace about the things you can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? If you know you're broke, and there's a light bill that is due 10 to 15 days from now, right? 10 to 15 days from now, for example. What is worrying about it at 3 a.m. going to do? What is worrying about you don't have the money, and worrying about it at 3 o'clock in the morning ain't going to do nothing. You might just go to sleep, right? And I say that because you can't do anything at 3 a.m. to fix that problem. You can worry about the problem in the morning when you can do something, and start thinking about ways of doing it. But worrying about it all day long without taking any action to actually complete it, but you're just going to worry, oh, Lord, how am I going to pay this bill, Lord? Oh, Lord, what am I going to do to pay this bill, Lord? Lord, you got to save me, Lord. Well, if you believe in God like you say you do, you wouldn't have to ask him 37,000 times to do something, because you believe if God loves you, then he'll do it. Asking him 1,000,000 times to do it for you, or what you're going to do, shows that you don't have the faith. Because no matter what happens, God is still God. And worrying about something that you can't change ain't going to do it, especially when it's out of your control, right? Because people might say, well, paying your light bill, might be in control because you could, cut some grass, you can sell some things. You can move around and make some things happen. And then from there, you can adjust your behavior that maybe can lower that light bill. Maybe you spent too much this month. Maybe you need to start saying, well, I need to work a part-time job. And that's the other thing, that now I want to bring up. So a lot of people talk about their financial situation. And like I said, faith without works is dead. You come home and you're like, I don't do nothing else, right? I want to be financially abundant, but I'm not willing to put in the work to be financially abundant. You're going to continue to have what you have, right? You're not looking to make any extra money. You're not working any extra hours. As soon as the boss offer you any extra time, I got to go. You're going to have to continue to have the same things you have. My father would say, oh, if you can't pay all your bills off for one job, then you need to do one or two things. Either A, you need to find a different job, or B, you need to lower your bills. And I still believe that's true. I mean, financial times have changed a little bit different. Financial times have changed a little bit, and things a little bit different when it comes to, maintaining your bills off of the set income we have. But I will say that, a lot of us are overspending. And, we're living in an abundance. I mean, in a lack mindset, which continues to have lack. When you focus on how much you don't have, and you're spending money that you don't have, you're going to continue to create the situation of not having, right? There's another saying called "be, do, have" that I'm a believer of. You be the person you want to be, do the things that your person will do, and you'll have the things that you want to have. All too often, we're too busy trying to have the things in order to, do the things that this person does, and then we have this idea that we'll somehow be that person. What do I mean by that, right? All of us, let's say you're making $15 to $20 an hour, right? You should be living a $20 lifestyle, right? And doing the things and being the person that you want to level up to be, right? So if you're saying, okay, I'm making $20 an hour now, but I want to be the person that makes $40 an hour, right? I want to be the person that makes $100 an hour. What does that person do? What did they do to earn $100? You can't just live like you have the $100. already. You have to be the person, right? So if you know that I want to make $100 an hour, right? Then you need to start researching who makes $100 an hour. What type of job does this person have? What do they do to get that job? Okay, what can I do to put myself in a position to make $100 an hour? That's the easiest way. You live in the end, right? You find the person, you find the goal you want to have, and you backtrack to how to get there, right? But you first have to have a goal. Too many of us want to live the lifestyle of $100 person when we only have $20 an hour to live off of. And we're not doing anything extra to get us closer to that goal. Because let's say $20 an hour, but you're working, 60 hours a week, which means not maybe getting overtime. I'm closer to that goal. Or when I get off on my 40 hours, I'm learning. I'm back in school. I'm learning a skill. I'm learning a trade that helps me get to the $100 an hour. Right? But no, you don't want to do that. You want to just live that person, even if it's only for an hour. Right? And that's the craziest thing, because I talked about it in a previous video, I think it was yesterday, where people get paid and want to live like the big dog for that day, and they end up breaking themselves, and they go back to crackers and water on Monday because they spent like they were boss on Friday and Saturday, right? And all too often, people don't want to hear what else comes with manifestation and having faith and the law of attraction. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, right? You attract what you are. If you want $1 million lifestyle, you have to be $1 million person, and you have to find out what it takes to be $1 million person, and you'll attract that, because you'll start doing the things and building habits that a millionaire would have. But you can't say, I want $1 million lifestyle and still move and act as a person that's only making $15, $20 an hour. Those two things do not work together, right? But just my thoughts, guys. We'll continue this if this catches some traction. I'll probably make some more videos about this, because it's just my thought process. But if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe button, comment whether you agree. And if you made it this far in the video, if you can hit me with a thumbs up and comment yes in the comment section. Thanks, guys.